Planning for effective use of technology in the classroom can sometimes be overwhelming. So having a lesson plan model that supports the integration of technology is very useful. And so as you read in the textbook, the 10-step u3nteq model is a lesson plan model that supports designing effective technology-infused or supported lessons for your learners. The 10 steps include specifying your objectives, and in that I would also say identifying the standards, the content as well as the technology standards that you want your students to achieve, and then identifying the computer functions that you will be utilizing along with the skills that you anticipate your students acquiring by doing the various computer functions. You also have to specify a problem for which you want the students to be working to achieve. Then you would do the research and analysis, which is a pretty big part because you've got to decide what information you want your students to be looking for, how you want them to analyze it, and then what you want them to do with it. The what they do with it part is the results presentation, and that would be whatever the outcome of the learning is expected to be. You also have to think about what activities you want to do when the students are using the computers, before they use them, and after they use them. These three activities are real important because it kind of forces you to make sure that the use of technology is deliberate and purposeful for your learners. Step 9 is the supporting activities that would go along with the activities that they will be doing during, before, and after using the computer. And even though I'm saying computer, it's really technology because it could be something other than a computer that is technology. It could be an iPad, it could be a tablet, it could be using their cell phone, it could be a probe that can be attached to their cell phone or some other tablet or something to determine water quality. The final step, step 10, is the assessment. And so having an assessment rubric or some type of checklist is good because it guides you and it tells the students what it is they will be doing. I'm going to go back to step 4 for a moment. Step 4 does suggest that you provide a think sheet for your students to assist them as they're working, so keep that in mind as well. One of the nice things that Morrison and Lothar did is they have a website that has templates that you can use, and there is a link here in the course shell that you can click to get to it. The template URL is u3nteq.com/ has a question mark P equal templates, and you can come here and download whichever file type is appropriate for you. They have one for Word for PC, Word for Mac, and then an RTF file which can accommodate any platform. I want to share a lesson plan with you that is written using the u3nteq lesson plan for Geography and U.S. History, grade level 8. The lesson title is Travel is Fatal to Prejudice, which is a quote by Mark Twain. The lesson summary includes the purpose as well as the duration of the lesson, and as it says here, the purpose of this lesson is to help students understand the consequences of slavery long after it was abolished. Students will locate maps to various U.S. points of interest and identify routes, lodging, and mileage when traveling by car for African Americans in the 1950s and 60s to the points of interest. It's anticipated that it would take about 5 to 10 class periods to complete the lesson. And of course, that's dependent on the number of students in the classroom, the number of computers, and the time spent in the classroom. The learning objectives are identified here, as well as the standards. The materials are listed here that would support this lesson. We have the computer functions. They're going to sign into the GIS, insert pictures and audio. For the computer, they'll be logging into arcgis.com. They'll be doing some copying and pasting, as well as browsing the internet to locate audio and insert it in the map. For data manipulation, once they find the maps and so forth, they'll create a map with labels and pins in the ArcGIS online system. They'll locate images and copy the images or a URL to an image and put it in the map. And then, of course, they'll be browsing the internet for audio files. The specific problem that the students were given is written here. Although slavery was abolished in 1865, African Americans were still not able to freely travel. Jim Crow laws and prejudice in general made it very difficult to travel outside of one's neighborhood and sometimes within one's neighborhood in the 50s and 60s. The prejudice that existed made it dangerous to travel in certain states. Nonetheless, African Americans still traveled and traveled by car, train, or bus. How many of you have traveled to Washington, D.C. or down south? Did you stay in a hotel or motel? Did you stop at a restaurant to eat? Were you treated fairly? We are going to travel back in time, and you will investigate travel for African Americans in 1956 to see various points of U.S. points of interest. So the results presentation, or the final project of this that the students will be doing, is they will be presenting an online story map that they create in the ArcGIS system. They're also going to interview 2 African American people who traveled during the 1950s and 60s, and they will present the findings from the interview. And here the multidimensional activities basically includes the lesson introduction, the supporting activities, the computer activities, the culminating activity, and whatever the rotation plan might be. And so you'll see all of that information here. The computer activities are listed. It identifies what the teacher or educator is doing, as well as what the learners are doing. The culminating activity is entered here. There's some details about the interview that the students will be conducting, as well as what should be on the map, and then the whole class discussion. There is a rotation plan that is identified here. And these are some points of interest that the students could select. Here's the actual rotation for the workstations. And the assessment rubric. In this example, it is not developed, but in yours it should be. And generally it is. This is just an example, and so the rubric was not included. Your assignment for this unit is to use the 10-step u3nteq model to develop a lesson plan that infuses technology to support your students' learning. You do have access to sample lesson plans to kind of help you, and the template. If you have not written a lesson plan before, there is a link to the EMU College of Ed Student Teaching Handbook. I took an excerpt from it that will help you with writing objectives and developing lesson plans.